Hey everybody, and welcome to another installment of Dear Deja. Okay, before you do anything, you guys know the drill. Make sure you go and like the video. Make sure you go and like the video. Make sure you go and like the video. After you like the video, make sure you stick around and hear all of the content because I would like to hear your feedback at the end of the video. And if you're new here, make sure you subscribe to my channel. So, okay, all right, let's get to it so we can make this happen. Oh, let me put my glasses on. Y'all know your girl can't always see her Dear Deja letters without her glasses. Dear Deja, I love my man. Lord knows I do. He's handsome, intelligent, ambitious, successful, compassionate, and everything else I could have asked for. Those are the highs. There are some lows. He snores. For whatever reason, he can't grow a beard, and he refuses to purchase tampons for me. Those are the simple lows I can and have been living with. The major one that scares and disappoints me is he recreationally does drugs. So every now and again when we go to events, which is like once a month, after he has a few drinks, he'll indulge in what he calls a little cocaine. I recognized this 8 months ago. Immediately, I confronted him about it, and he said, "You acting like I do this shit every day. It's a once in a while thing. Stop ODing. As you know, the dating pool is filled with piss and shit. So I do not want to start all over, but from what I've heard about recreational drug users, it starts out as a once in a while thing, and next thing you know, boom, I'm living with a full-fledged addict who keeps losing jobs and I have to hide my money from. Everyone thinks I'm overreacting, but I really feel like if I continue with this relationship, it will be the biggest mistake of my life. What am I going to do? Signed, Adamant about leaving an addict. P.S. I think I'm pregnant." All right. Okay. As per usual, let me get a little sip. Well, let me run it from the top. First off, let me say, I think the first thing you need to do before anything is figure out if you are expecting, right? Figure out if you are expecting, because that can play a major role in your decision making moving forward about this situation, right? So I think the first thing to do is, because also that is regarding your health, you need to check and see if you're expecting, right? If you are expecting, congratulations, because I know in my experience, which once again, I'm a grand auntie again, for the second time, congratulations to my nephew Bashi. But once again, babies are blessings. Babies are blessings, even sometimes when they're not the intention, like you didn't set out to get pregnant. Babies are blessings. Babies are blessings, and they are blessings in families too, because they can most times and oftentimes brings folks together. So congratulations if you are expecting, right? The only caveat to expecting is, like you said, if I don't plan on continuing this relationship, then having a baby by this person might make things a little complicated. So let's run it from the top. Right? Because I would, number one, like to know how long you guys have been in a relationship, because one of the things that you said was that you noticed a couple of months back that this recreational drug use takes place. So is it that we've been together a long time, but we didn't hang out with each other, so I just started seeing this when we started hanging out together and going places together? Or is it B, this behavior actually just started a couple of months ago? I never seen it before because it wasn't never present before, right? Or is it C? No, there's no C. There's A, there's B. So either were you guys not hanging out so you didn't know it was taking place, or did it actually just start? And the reason, once again, that I asked is because I would like to know the length of the relationship. Have you guys been together 1 year and then you just figured it out 8 months ago? Have you been together 3 years and you just found out 8 months ago? And if this is a new thing. In relationships, the number one thing that's important is communication with comprehension. right? Let me say that again. The number one thing that is important, one of the major things that is important in any relationship is communication with comprehension. And the reason why I said that is because a lot of times folks will just say that communication is the only thing that you need in a relationship. And while I do think you need communication, you need for both parties to understand what the other person is communicating, right? So it's one thing for you to say something to me in Spanish, right? I'm sorry. Every time I get on these videos, y'all, my hair act up. I do not know why. I don't know if it's jealous of the camera. I don't know. Anyway, good wigs matter. Okay. I'm going to brush it. Don't judge me. I'm sorry, y'all, but that irritates me, right? Okay. So anyway, like I was saying, communication with comprehension is important because if you say something to me in Spanish, it's not going to matter what you communicated because I didn't understand it, right? So communication with comprehension is important because not only do I need to know what you think, what you feel, and what you want done, but I have to be able to understand what you think, what you feel, and what you want done so I can accomplish that goal. And I think that you and this gentleman, for however long y'all have been together, need to sit down and communicate about the feelings you have surrounding his recreational drug use. But I think you also have to make him understand why you have those feelings. That's part A, right? Okay. Part B of making the person understand the feelings that you have surrounding it is also understanding that that person may not share those same feelings. Let me say that one more time so you can understand me. Not only are you communicating what you feel and you're getting that person to understand what you feel, how you feel, and why you feel it. Part B of that is also understanding that that person may not feel the same way as you. And at that point, you guys are going to be at an impasse because you're disagreeing. When you are having a disagreement in any situation, in any relationship, it could be with family, friends, spouse, whatever, there comes a point where you have to stand on your morals, right? And I realize that a lot of people, including self in the past, have had issues standing on our morals, right? So you could feel one thing and know one thing, but when you have feelings for a person, sometimes you compromise what you feel and what you know because of the feelings you have for that person. So I'll give you an example. Say you're a person that, you know, a large part of your moral compass is not allowing folks to be physically violent with you, right? That's just who you are. I don't want anyone being physically violent with me. You may get into a fight with your brother and he may put his hands on you. And because he put his hands on me, because of the relationship y'all share, you want that relationship to continue, him putting his hands on you will be easily forgiven and it will kind of fall by the wayside because it's like, well, I can't do him like that. That's my brother, right? I get that part of it. But what I think folks don't get is that if something is a part of your moral compass, it's because it contributes to your makeup. And if you are not being who you are and you're pushing down something that contributes to who you are to accommodate somebody else, that is not going to work in the end for you or that person. Okay, so I think that you have to think about your moral compass regarding communicating this with this person and then understanding that they may share a different perspective about what you guys are communicating about. And the reason why I said that is because you said that he said, in a letter you said, he said, I don't really do it all the time and that you are ODing. Right? And it sounds like you guys from the letter only go out periodically. So what he's trying to say is, well, I only indulge in this periodically. It's not that serious. And that may be what he feels. He has a right to feel that way. I think the issue here is you don't feel like he should indulge in it at all. And you also have a right to your feelings. You also know that you cannot stop another human being from doing anything. You can only stop yourself from participating in them doing something that you do or don't like. Okay? So, I don't know. Every time I get in this camera, everything act up. My allergies, my wig, everything, right? My bad. But these are the Dear DJ bloopers that I like folks to see so you can know how real it is, right? I look really pretty, right? Happy New Year. Anyway, that's because this is a really good wig. Once again, shout out to Ray. Anyway, so now we're back to focusing on standing on business, which is business, your moral compass. There is some issues surrounding the drug use. Okay, whether it's recreational, whether it's every day, whether it's once a year, whether it's quarterly, however often it happens, you have to kind of piece together in your mind if it's something that you can handle, and if not, what are you prepared to do if it doesn't stop? Trying to stand on business is sometimes hard when you feel like business is standing on you, right? So I do get that, when you like a person or when you have a particular set of feelings for a person, that once again, they get the opportunity to kind of bypass some things that you would really, really stand on business normally regarding anybody. I get that. But I think that the reason why good relationships form is because folks know what's a part of your moral compass and also what your boundaries are, and they respect them and they love you for having them and they honor them with you, and that's why the relationship stays intact. I think bad relationships form when people either A, don't know what your moral compass is, B, they know your boundaries but don't give a fuck about them, or C, you don't stand on business when it comes to that and they are now introduced to being able to take advantage of you for their benefit and their gain. And most times what I see in most relationships is those type of relationships suffer because it's like, okay, I don't like what's happening to me. And either A, I have not said it to you, or B, I've said it to you and you're still continuing to do it. So it causes a problem and an issue for one of the folks involved, whereas the other person involved is having their way, right? And that is not at all fair to anybody, because if you want the relationship to be good, we both need to be happy in it, not just one person. And I don't know if you think that the dating pool having and shit in it is a reason for you to not stand on business and uphold your morals and your boundaries. And it sounds like that's the case, because what you said was, the dating pool has piss and shit in it. And aside from the recreational drug use, you really like this person. You guys, it sounds like get along very well. You have a good relationship. I love that for you. And I want you to have that. But I want you to have that and not have to sacrifice your integrity or not have to shift and move your boundaries in order for you to have it. Because what I do know is if those boundaries are not put up and you are not able to be who you are and who you need to be, eventually that will become an issue for you, and that will become an issue for you guys. And you won't be able to continue this happy relationship that I'm happy for you to have, because now I'm pissed with you because I can't really be who I need to be or who I want to be because I'm putting your feelings first. So while I love that you guys do have a beautiful situation aside from the recreational drug use, if the recreational drug use for you is a hard no, then you need to really, really prepare yourself to have that conversation, and then also prepare yourself for next steps if it doesn't go in your favor. Again, that's easier said than done. That's easier said than done. It's very easy for me to say, oh, well, you know what? I don't like when someone yells at me, and Pookie yelled at me, so I'm going to break up with him. No, you're really not, because that's easier said than done, right? I can say that's what I want to do, right? It just becomes an issue when it's actually time to do it. I'm going to share with you how I got to the space of standing on business and maintaining my boundaries in any situation. my issue was that I didn't think I was good enough, right? I didn't think I was good enough. I didn't feel I was worthy. So a lot of times when I was met with adverse situations, I would kind of sway in a direction of the other person, because in my mind, we're going to either separate or I'm going to lose you, and I couldn't lose you because then what would I have? Right? So it's like, okay, case in point, if I got into a situation with, let's just say, a cousin of mine, I'm very, very, very extremely close with my cousins. So it would be like, okay, well, I could try to fight to the death to win, but if I see myself losing and this cousin gonna cut me off, let me just back down, because I don't want to not be close with my cousins. I don't want us to not speak. I don't want us to have friction, because then what am I gonna do? I don't know if you guys are into a different world, but I gave this spiel in another one of my Dear Deejas, and I think it's very relatable to this one. Niecy, she was one of the newer generation, different world kids. She came with Jada Pinkett and all of them, right? Niecy was dating a guy, a aspiring rapper at Hillman, right? And I'm come to find out he was beating shit out of Niecy. And Niecy was one of like the loud, rambunctious, boisterous ones. We have kind of similar personality. So to hear that you're just allowing somebody to take advantage of you and make you so small when you're such a big personality, to Jada, and I was like, nah, we don't believe that. He not doing that. But he was. He was doing it secretly, but he was hitting on her, right? So anyway, they got wind of it, and they went and they told Whitley. And at the time, I think Whitley was like the house mom, right? She had got that position because she was like the older generation, right? So I never forget, she took, is her name Niecy? I think it's Niecy. Anyway, she took her in her room, and she was having a conversation with her, and she was saying, I'm hearing that something dangerous is going on with you, and yada, 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 right? And one of the things I like that she said to her was like, you don't have to let a man disrespect you. You don't have to be mistreated by a man. And remember, Whitley goes with Dwayne Wayne. So she was like, you can, you basically you don't have to stand for that. So Niecy said back to her, she was like, well, you're right. You would say that because you have somebody. And I never forget this because it always stuck with me. And Whitley said back to her, I do. And that somebody is Whitley. Right? And I always remembered that because it kind of helped boost my confidence in the area of not feeling worthy, is that, you will lose people, and you will have to diminish relationships, and people will, fall off the path on a journey with you. But God always replaces. God always replaces. So somebody has to go for whatever reason, or you have to push somebody away for whatever reason. Don't get nervous and feel like once they're gone, what am I going to do? You're going to continue on the path, and you're going to have someone just as great and as wonderful as the last person, if not better. God replaces. But if you're so scared of losing an individual that you hold on tight to them no matter what's going on, even when it comes to compromising yourself, then you're not in the best situation for you, and you're not helping your situation, and eventually all of that will crumble. So, my dear, it is time for you to stand on business. It's time for you to stand on business. Like I said, when I used to do it, it was because I was in fear of losing that person, and then wondering, why is my allergies acting up like this? And then wondering, what would I have? Who would I have? Oh my God, I'm going to be, like I said, without a cousin, without this, without... No, I have other cousins. And even when I didn't have other cousins, I had people who came along and replaced that cousin as a cousin. You understand what I'm saying? And that's the same thing in relationships, right? In romantic relationships, when you find a person that you click with, that gets you, that you love, that you would do anything for, and it appears that they would do everything for you, and yada, yada, yada. When something happens and you hit the bump in the road, you know what I'm saying? And you see that right here in this moment, I'm having to compromise me and the things that make me me. Then I have to wonder, is this person for me? And again, in thinking about it, it's scary, it's sad, it hurts you, because it's like, well, I don't want to think about this person not being for me. But if I have to keep compromising myself, then I need to reevaluate what this relationship is. Because the person that is for you, they will not put you in a position where you have to compromise yourself. They will love you, and they will do everything for you to be who you need to be, because that person they love, and you're worthy of that. you are worthy of that love. So if drug usage, whether it's recreational or not, is an issue for you, then you need to confront that. And not confront that only with him. Confront that within yourself. Because you need to be prepared to have a conversation about him not agreeing that it's an issue in this relationship, and that being an impasse for both of y'all. So what direction do you need to take? But you cannot continue to, sway on your morals and sway within your integrity and compromise who you are just to be with another person. The person that loves you will love you for you. They don't need you to be anything or anybody else. And I'm going to tell you something about like trying to compromise who you are and trying to appease another person, knowing that what you're doing doesn't make you happy. It only makes the other person happy. It makes you miserable. It makes you miserable, because in those moments when you see the other person happy, you do feel that little flight feeling of happiness. Like, oh my God, okay, wow, I did something for so great. But remember, what you did for them hurt you. What you did for them hurt you. So now once that instant gratification of them being happy is gone, because eventually it subsides. You know why it subsides? Because now you're hurting. Because whatever you did compromised you. So now, instead of you having a feeling of, oh my God, I feel so great, I feel so grand, this feeling is everlasting, it's not everlasting. Because what you did that was so great and so grand for somebody else, it cost you. So now, instead of you being happy like you thought you would be, you're sad and you're miserable. Because now, what about me? What about you? What about you? I can't imagine there is anything about you. Because everything about you just put to the side for somebody else. I am totally and completely unhinged in the presence of my family. How I knew that Pookie was for me was because I am totally and completely unhinged in front of him. Right? I have yet, sometimes, don't get me wrong, I get on my family's damn nerves. They be like, okay, girl, you went too far, right? That's one thing. But I've never felt, after the fact, embarrassed or ashamed because I just couldn't show up with my real self, or that when I did, my family didn't like it or didn't accept it. Same thing for my romantic relationship. Same thing for my friends. Who I am is who they love, right? I have some friends who are very stush, very pinky in the ear. You don't hear them talk above a whisper. They do not go. They don't want any drama. They are not into the laughing and the joking. That's who they are, right? They love to be around me. They love to be around me because this is who I am 99.9% of the time. And that's who they love. They don't ask me to tone it down and bring it in and contain myself. And, excuse me? They know they couldn't ask me that. Because I'm not compromising me for you. I'm going to be me and you're going to like it. And if you don't, I'm going to stay away from you. Because I cannot keep pushing me to the back and everybody else to the front. So if his recreational drug use is an issue for you, I don't give a damn if it's one. How do people do? Okay, do you do it like, I don't know. When I was younger, this is the only thing I knew about is that people sniffed it, right? I don't care if he only sniffs one line, one day, out the whole year. If that presents an issue for you and it compromises who you are, you need to communicate that. You need to also be prepared and have a plan for if it's not something that he's willing to discontinue or change. And in all fairness to him, I'm not trying to say he should be on drugs, but if he needs to be and it's a part of his makeup, then he needs to be with a woman who accepts that about him. So not only may you not be for him, he doesn't need to compromise himself for you either. And again, let me be clear in saying this. I'm not encouraging anyone to be on drugs at all. I'm just saying there are folks who have what they need. And if that is something that he needs and that's not something that you're willing to accept, then you guys have to separate. You can't make him do something you're not willing to do. You're not willing to change to conform to what I do. So why do I have to change to conform to what you want? It isn't fair on both ends. So are we really meant to be with each other? I'm heavily emotional. Heavily. You guys witnessed it. I was talking about my mom a couple of videos back and the tears just started. I did not plan that. I did not mean. I am a person that when certain situations happen or I'm invested in something or someone, I can get emotional very quickly, right? I can tell you guys about a death in a movie and my eyes get watery and I'm about to cry, right? That's just who I am. And I remember I talked to and dated a guy who was, I don't even think he had emotions. I'm not trying to be shady, but I honestly don't feel in my heart of hearts that he had emotions because I never saw him have an emotional reaction to anything. You know, he always spoke in the same tone. He always gave the same facial expressions. He always responded to things in the same way. So I never seen him have an emotional reaction. So every time I had one, I honestly feel like in my heart, every time I had an emotional reaction, it felt like somebody stabbed him. I felt like that. I felt like it was torture for him to watch me have an emotional reaction about anything. It could have even been death. For him, it was just like, well, why are you crying? And I'm like, somebody died. Like, that doesn't, I know. But. So I remember, shout out my girl Mo. I remember that when I was dating this person, you know, because I knew that's how he was, I was trying my hardest and my best to shift who I was so I could be enough for him. And I remember I tried to like make up a game, you know, just going above and beyond to shift who I am to fit what this other person wanted. That wasn't my person. That wasn't my person because my person would not only understand that I am a heavily emotional person, that would be something that my person loves about me. My Pookie. Right? So I just think that you have to really, 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 really do some introspective work in order to realize what you're willing to take and what you're not willing to take. And then I also think that needs to be laid out for your partner. And I think it needs to be clear on what you need and what he needs moving forward. Because if what you need and what he needs cannot be given on any parts, then you have to reevaluate the relationship. I'm sorry, my dear. That's the long and the short of it. Because if not, you guys will drag each other through this relationship up until somebody finally says enough is enough. And at that point, somebody will be bitter because we've been through so much together trying to make each other enough for the other person. And now one person has the audacity to say enough is enough. I hate you. That's normally what happens in relationships. Okay, so my dear, I hope and I pray that first and foremost, you come get your Operation Heal 100 Hearts one-on-one session. You come get your one-on-one session because I think that we need to have some dialogue about how worthy you feel and how much of enough you are and how no matter what happens, you will be okay. But that also comes from having the confidence of knowing that that is the truth. And being able to push forward in that regard. And I honestly don't think you're there yet. Because if you was, you would not be questioning your moral compass. You would just be standing in it and on business. All right, all right, all right, all right, all right, all right, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for staying the entire time. If you have reached this point, I want to see your comments on this video because that means you listen to all of my feedback to this young lady. And I would like to hear, do you have any feedback for the young lady? Do you feel like I'm tripping about what I said? Is any of this relatable to you? Do you need an Operation Hill 100 Heart session? Would you like that young lady to elaborate with what happened after just the letter? You know, let me know. Let me know. I love to hear you guys' feedback. Make sure you go like, you go comment, you go share, you go subscribe because I appreciate all of my subscribers and I love to do Dear DJs. I put up a poll and you guys said that's what you want, so that's what will continue. I'll be back with my unpopular opinion and thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up. Love you always and thank you for subscribing to Operation Hill 100 Hearts and Dear DJ.